All right, let's go. All right, let's go. Let's go with the game last night.
Well, did you watch a game last night, Dal? Dallas versus Avalanche. Dallas moves on. What did you think of the game, Dad?
Well, DeBoer is 9-0, and in those seventh games.
I know, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
It's a good stat to have.
So,
and Ratton, he did pretty good.
4 points in the third period. So people that don't know the story, I'll tell you the quick story of that.
All right.
So Ratton was with Colorado, and it was his last year of his contract. And they didn't think they were going to be able to sign him. I think he wanted $13 million or something. So they traded him to Carolina right out of the blue.
Yeah.
And McKinnon was really upset, and I don't even think the coach really knew. So they thought, well, they'll sign with Carolina. Well, Ratton says, I don't want to stay here. So then Carolina trades him back to Dallas, the arch enemy of Colorado. And then the one thing that Colorado didn't want to do was face him in the first round of the playoffs.
And he did.
And
they did.
And he got 9 points in the last 3 games.
Unbelievable. I mean, and they were points too.
Yeah.
And they were good points.
Yeah. No, he was. But I got it, Dad. You and I were talking. It's what, a 3-3 game or 2-2 game, and that penalty that they called on.
Oh, that was brutal penalty.
Yeah.
And holding, I think it was holding.
Holding, yeah.
And
it wasn't like you saw that, Del, right?
Yeah, it was nothing.
You can't like
typical Game 7.
Right. And it wasn't like the guy was going in on a breakaway or had a shot on net.
Yeah. Or anything, and he tripped him and the whole deal. Yeah. No, he just held him.
Yeah, held him up, and then given that was I just couldn't get over that. And I know that referee they'll pat him on the back and say what a great job.
Yeah, they'll say that took courage to call that penalty, and they did. And they did, and he called it.
Yeah, it was awful.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Leafs, though.
Yeah, but just before we go on, I mean, I'm happy because of Pete DeBoer. He's kind of a friend of ours.
I remember said he must have listened to the broadcast, and I said that I didn't get a jacket. And he sent his own jacket.
Yeah, when you were doing the prospect game in Kitchener, and we had all the swag bags, right? Somebody stole Dad's swag bag, and then you said at Hockey Night in Canada, somebody stole my swag bag, and then Pete DeBoer, who was in Kitchener, coached the Kitchener Rangers at the time, sent you a jacket.
Yeah, sent me a jacket.
Yeah, but I got to tell a funny story. He tells one of the funniest stories in hockey.
Oh, yeah.
So in the old Kitchener Arena, I think they changed it now, but it used to be the bench, and then Peter DeBoer, and then no glass.
No, they have glass now.
They have glass now, but back then they didn't. There was no glass. And he goes right behind him were all the season seat holders. And so he says he'd sit there, and let's say you don't score the power play, and they'd go,
well, I guess this is, we'll have to work on the power play. And I can see that
yeah, that was like.
And why is that guy out there?
they were every time he says all they're doing is just.
Yeah, you can't say anything. You can't say anything because they've been there for 4,000 years, and he used to get so mad.
That's right, and he couldn't say anything. But now they put glass back there, so he can't be told. But that was a funny story. But I remember that prospect game. That was like that's something when all the kids are getting drafted. Dion Phaneuf and Paul Bissonnette, boy, did they have a fight in that game.
Boy, did they really had a fight.
Yeah.
That was one of the better ones.
Yeah, right at the blue.
And who scored?
I think Sagan went in and scored.
Yeah, Sagan went in and scored. They were going to count it, eh? Oh boy! I said I'm going on the ice with this one. Well, anyhow, it was a good series.
So, Dad, you got to say Montreal kind of played well.
Yeah,
but went down 4-1.
Tom Wilson was a big factor. His hit on carry seemed to turn the game around anyhow. He said he always a physical player, and he grew up watching Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock hockey on DVDs. Pretty good.
Yeah. No, he was. Yeah, that whole series turned on that one hit.
Yeah.
It was 2-2, and he just crushed that guy. And then they come down and score, and then that seemed to be it. And then they fought in the penalty box, or fought in the bench and everything.
Yeah, it was a good series.
Now I got to ask you though, Dad. I'm not dumping on Montreal. They played great. They got a good young team, but I think they're going to struggle to make the playoffs again next year.
I think they are, and they're up right now during the playoffs. They will struggle next year.
All right, we got the Leafs and the Panthers.
I got to pick the Leafs because I'm picking the Leafs to go all the way. And boy, it's going to be a tough series, though. It is. It'll be a tough series.
Yeah, I think this will be the acid test for Matthews and Marner's and Nylander because I look at this. It's all downhill for the Leafs after this.
Yeah.
Like this will be the toughest. If they go to the finals, this will be the toughest series.
Yeah, this will be the toughest series. Panthers know it too.
And then they got Marchand, who's a Leaf killer.
Yeah.
And then they got Kachuk, who was a Leaf killer. And so the big question is, Dad, I got to ask you. You know it's going to be a rough series.
Yeah.
You know Florida,
Yeah.
they play dirty.
Yeah.
Do you dress Reeves if you're Berube?
I would dress Reeves. First game, at least the first game, I would dress him. After that, then we'll see how it goes.
Right. Because if you need some guy to go out and get a 5-game suspension, so if Reeves goes out and gets 5 games, so what? He's not going to adjust anyway, right?
Yeah. I would dress Reeves.
So, Del, you're a goaltender.
Yep.
So here it is. The backup goalie of Florida wants to dethrone the king. So what do you think about that?
It's going to be a goalie battle. Definitely would like to think that maybe your defensemen and your forwards, they're going to show up for you and help you.
Yeah.
Get out of your way, especially when let you see the puck, as you always say. It's going to be a good series, though.
That's from a goalie. They wants to see the puck.
Get out of my way.
Get out of the way so he can see the puck.
And don't put it in my net.
Right, like that poor guy last night. He went off the skate. But like it was funny. I was watching the game last night. And I mentioned to you, like a goalie like Cheevers couldn't play today because he'd be going nuts.
He'd be going nuts
with all the guys in front of the net. Like
hack his own teammates.
Yeah, he would be. And they all stick their sticks in front. Yeah.
No mercy.
Yeah, a lot of times you see the guys puck goes off a guy and in, and they blame the goalie.
Yep. Deflects 2 or 3 times, and the goalie missed it.
So you're picking Leafs.
I'm picking Leafs.
I'm picking Florida.
Yeah.
Who are you picking, Dale?
I'm checking it out. I'm going Leafs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they're favored. I think they're
really.
Favored. Yeah, I think they're favored. Where is it here? I think well because they're higher seed, right?
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean much in the playoffs.
No, it doesn't mean nothing in the playoffs.
You steal one game, then it's all over.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is Sunday morning, and we're going to have lunch after. And then I got to edit this, get this up. But because tonight is Game 7, Jets and Blues. So what?
Jets and Blues. Hellebuck is struggling again. Is 8.15 save percentage and 4.4 goals against average are the worst in the playoffs. Jets look terrible in Game 6. The Jets have 250 hits in the series, and the Bruins have 252. That's over 500 hits so far. And I'm saying Hellebuck comes up with a great game and wins the game.
So you're picking Winnipeg?
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think, Del?
I think Blues. Binnington's going to do well.
That's the thing that would scare me because
he's a wild card.
Because it seems like all the big games he steps up.
He
like
shows
remember
up.
you said in Game 7 in Boston, you saw him in the elevator, and when the Blues in Game 7.
Yeah, I saw. I was going to the sauna, and he was going to dinner. He said, "Oh yeah, we'll win tonight." And I, jeez.
In Boston, and he did.
8. What was it? What was the score the night before?
I think he got blasted. I think he got 6 goals blind by the game before.
Yeah.
Everybody's he's done. His magic was broke and all that. And then you look at the Four Nations face-offs.
Yep.
I mean, he won that basically for them.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's scary. A goalie like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying Winnipeg. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say the Blues just because of Bennington and things. So.
Is it in?
It's in Winnipeg tonight. But I hope, and I do hope Winnipeg wins, because Hellebuck seems like a nice guy, and you just don't want that hanging over his head all the time. So, Dad, here we have the finalists for the Hart Trophy. We got Draisaitl.
Yeah, who scored 52 goals. 52. He was the only player to have over 50 goals.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, if you were saying how many guys scored 50 goals this season, you would think more than one, right?
You think so, yeah.
Hellebuck,
Yeah.
who led goalies with 57 wins and the best average 2.
Yeah, but he's struggling now.
Khrushchev, who led the league with 121 points.
Yep. So who would you pick? You had to pick one of those guys to be on your team. Who would you pick?
I would pick Hellebuck.
You sure?
And then in the playoffs, we'd go from there.
Don't mention it in the playoffs.
Yeah. I hard to believe though they left McKinnon off.
Well, he won it last year.
Yeah, like if you're going to take one guy off, you go, well, Hellebuck's going to win the Vezina.
Yeah.
But you do go, okay, if you take Hellebuck off of Winnipeg, they're probably, they're not as good. But it's just funny how they I guess they can't keep putting the same guys up.
That's true. Change it up.
Yeah. Only 6 players had 100 points or more. Khrushchev had 121. McKinnon had 116. Draisaitl had 106. Pasternak had 102. Marner had 102. And McDavid had 100.
Yeah, again, I would have thought more guys would have had 100 points this year. Like,
does that show depth in a team then?
I don't know.
Coaches of the Year finalists were announced. They are Martin St. Louis with the Habs, Scott Arniel with the Winnipeg, and Spencer Carberry of the Caps. I go along with everybody.
The funny thing is, Dad, the last 3 coaches that won the Jack Adams have been fired.
We're fired.
Yeah.
Now, how do you go from the best in the league to the worst?
That's right. So Tocchet, he's out of Vancouver.
Yeah.
They didn't fire him, but they're not extending
Yeah.
him. Jim Montgomery, he's out of Boston, and now he's taken St. Louis to Game 7.
Yep.
He must have something though. He must have something.
Montgomery must.
Yeah.
Because St. Louis was nothing, and you look at them now.
Yeah.
And then Brindamore, he won, so he's still around. And then I think the guy that got the biggest shaft was Daryl Sutter.
Yeah.
He was in Calgary, and then they fired him halfway through the next season.
That's crazy.
So it is a bit of a kiss of death.
When you win that, it is the kiss of death. 8 coaches have been fired since the end of the season. Mike Sullivan was fired by the Penguins and hired by the Rangers.
Yeah, like 2 days later.
That's crazy.
2 days later.
But what did Jack Adams say to you about coaches after he hired you? Or not?
Oh, yeah.
Not Jack Adams. Who was it?
Doug Adams.
Doug Adams.
Doug Adams said to me, and I could hear him in the background, he said, "You think you lost the year?" Well, I don't know. They're hired to be fired.